All right, welcome to the relationship show. This guy writes this post. I'm preparing myself to die alone because I would rather die alone than settle for being in a bad relationship. He says, as much as I would like to meet someone and have companionship in this life, I am also one of those people who has been fortunate to learn how to live with himself even before this pandemic began and coexist with it happily. The most important relationship I have is with myself. But what is he doing? He's writing a post about he wants to be with someone else or he would rather die. It's like someone who's super like totally like truthfully uh confident with their with how they are as a person. It's not going to have to write Reddit posts about proving that they would rather die than being in a relationship that they didn't like. It says like if they'd probably just be content with doing what they're doing and just keep doing what they're doing. So it's like you just writing this post and then making it a point to say that like I don't have to have another person. It's like really just you trying to get attention. Um, because for this lifestyle that you're doing, it's almost like a validation. It's like you're seeking approval for the way you're living right now. And I just from your posts, I don't see the clues that you actually are happy with just being yourself. I see the clues that say that you are very lonely, that you're struggling and you're getting attention because you need some kind of attention. You might not got it. You know, a lot of people don't with this COVID thing. It's like they don't have enough physical and like human contact with another person. Um, he says, that being said, I would rather die alone than settle for anyone I'm not attracted to or can't connect with just because the pickups are slim in the dating world for a guy my age. It's like, yeah, is that true? He doesn't tell his age, but what, he's older, maybe? But it's just a limiting belief. It's like, oh, age is a number. It's like a lot of women will date older men because they have their shit together. But if you don't have your shit together, then you might have some trouble if you're older and you're still broke and you still don't basically have your life together and life sorted out. And you're basically just like living paycheck to paycheck and just seeing where you can kind of find a buck or whatever. Yeah, that's not going to be attractive. It's like women will be attracted to in later stages, which I'm assuming that you are in your later stages of age. That's what women will be more attracted to. It's like once women reach like the 30-year range, it's like something like clicks in them and they're like, okay, I got to start a family. It's like I don't know if it's like a biological click, like I'm running out of time to have kids, you know, I'm running out of time to settle down. But usually in that like early 30s is when you'll see that like women will even settle for like stop pursuing like the bad boy type guy, the alpha male type guy, and they'll settle for like someone who's like a super nice guy or like one of the super pleaser kind of guys. Even though they're not totally like attracted to those types of guys, it's like they will still pick them because they want to settle down and start a family. And a lot of guys, you know, just well, just there's just a lot of guys that way, like the nice guy kind of um, I guess you could call it a stereotype. But yeah, a lot of them are conservative, or that's just another stereotype. But it's more like how am I trying to say this? It's like a whole pool of if a whole pool of people, it's like a percentage of people have their shit together, say 75%, and you know 99% of those guys are just like nice guys. It's like a larger pool of people are going to have their shit together, so it's like they pick one of those guys just because they have their shit together, or you know they can kind of benefit the woman in some way from this guy's perspective. I value my health, my dedication to fitness, my interest, and above all knowing who I am, what I want in life and what to expect from others. That's great. It's like you have something to do, some kind of mission, your health, your fitness, your interests, um, and above all, knowing who I am. Okay, well, that could be good or bad. It's like if you know who you are and you're living this, like, oh, I know that I'll never settle for someone else. It's like just puts you in a place where you basically never have success. So it can be like a double-edged sword, if you will. You always see so much bad advice on this subreddit about how people should just lower their standards, and if you can't meet someone, it must means you aren't what you think you are. So, like, if you're not succeeding in um, relationships, they're saying that you need to lower your standards because you have too high of standards or something like that. So, yeah, I don't really agree with that either. I don't agree with lowering your standards. I agree with raising your value. And so it's like, how can you raise your value? It's like, so if you have these high standards, how can you become the person that a woman like that would be attracted to? Like, what can you do? Can you get your money squared away? Can you get your life squared away? Can you get your looks squared away? Can you adopt a masculine presence? Can you have a mission in your life? Can you walk away from people and mean it? Can you pass her tests? Can you not chase her and not fully commit right away and let her express her feelings first? Can you make her feel understood by just listening to her, not solving her problems and giving her your full attention? Can you make her feel seen by just recognizing when she makes the effort to get your attention, and then really giving her that attention and really giving her that praise? Can you make her feel safe by sticking up for yourself, her, your mission, your opinions, and not always getting her way? And so being able to tell her no in some situations when the decision doesn't align with your purpose and mission. It's like, adopt those things, man. If you can raise your skills in those things, women will be so much more attracted to you. If you're a woman, another piece of advice says, if you're a woman, people will tell you just settle for a less attractive guy. You're not all that into physically, just so long as he's a good guy. So that's kind of what I was talking about earlier with that, like women in their early 30s wanting to settle down with someone who's kind of squared away. For guys, other guys love to tell you to just suck it up and date an overweight woman just so you can at least have sex with her, which says a ton about how little you all think of overweight people and the right to have standards as well. Okay, well, he's labeling like all people on Reddit as these few comments that he has seen. So he saw someone say like, hook up with like an overweight woman so you can kind of get in the game kind of thing. And now he's labeling that as everyone. And also he's like trying to almost like shame other people. And so it's like he's shaming this person, which says a ton about how little you think of overweight people. It's like, you think overweight people are bad, so that's like a bad thing. You're a bad guy. You're a bad person. He's like shaming other people. And it's like, when people shame other people for just really the intent of um, basically making themselves look good, it just makes themselves have the opposite effect and make them look bad. It's like, I don't get the sense that you're saying how happy you are in your life and how happy you are alone. And because basically this whole post has been about you saying all the people are bad that are on giving like advice on Reddit, and how all these people are you're basically shaming people. You're saying how these things don't work and looking at negative things. And it's like, negative people just, from my experience, aren't the ones that are truly happy with themselves. And so, man, I think you got to work on yourself a lot. He says, it's so stupid. All of this is so toxic. This whole subreddit is filled with toxic advice from people who have no idea what they're talking about. Do you? You're not in a relationship. You're saying you'd rather die than be and like settle for your relationships, and you're not doing anything about it. These people probably also crumble when they are alone with themselves. What are you doing right now, buddy? You are writing a post to Reddit, an angry post to Reddit, and you're alone? Is that crumbling? He says in all caps, date yourself, date yourself. I can't say this enough. Date your fucking self. you got some work to do on yourself, man. It's like, but you can't do that unless you can come to your own reality on how you're acting. It's like people get in these traps. And one pattern I see is like just analyzing guys in this situation. It's like, even if they're acting in like super needy, super fearful ways, it's like they still consider themselves very strong people and very strong and very alpha, if you will. It's like, even if they act in these completely just becoming unglued and their emotions just go everywhere and they're just like being like a super pleaser and all these different things that basically communicate weakness, they still have a perception in their mind of them being very strong. What you will notice is that if people are insecure enough, they'll almost be willing to put themselves through anything. And I'm not saying that there aren't benefits to being in like that beta male thing. It's not necessarily a good or bad being like a beta male, alpha male thing. It's not necessarily a good or bad thing. But it does get different results, and the results changes are drastic. But the point is like, we have to come to the realizations in ourselves. It's like, and that's analyzing ourselves is sometimes the hardest person to analyze, because it's like we don't have that reflection. We can't observe ourselves as much or as in detail with other people. It's almost like we can just see kind of like a reflection on like the impact that we make on other people, and then we adjust accordingly, or we don't adjust at all and then put the other people down like what this guy's doing. But the point is, it starts with an awareness. And that's why like books, that's why videos and using other people's experience is so valuable, because it all starts with an awareness. And if you can get that awareness, and it's like, whoa, your mind just opens up and it sees all these instances, and you see these patterns of whatever it is you're doing, or whatever it is you're learning about or just became aware of. And then when that awareness comes, like, and you start seeing everything around you, that's when you start to learn. And from my experience, like the learning process in like shifting like from to like more masculine mindset, if you will, it's like basically just dove into as much content as I could. I spent years doing that. And it was like at the initial, probably, geez, I mean, it was probably, I went through phases of learning it. So it was like 6 months, I totally overdid it. It was like, I just basically went to the extreme and like extreme. And it was like strict, totally strict, and this and this. Another phase was like, I always had to stick up for myself, and I would like never back down. And then it's like, as you progress, you'll kind of realize like how much those things like actually are necessary, and how much are just like things that you'd say in a moment. And so a lot of like the masculine things you think of like are like sticking up for yourself, standing up for yourself, some of the harder things to do. Those things are just like very, very small moments, but those moments will be remembered. So it's not about just adopting that mindset of like, oh, I'm going to stick up for myself no matter what on every single concept. Because if you do that, it's like it's too much, and you come across as like an asshole and way too much, and that can have the reverse effect as well. But what I've kind of noticed through this really process is that being calm seems to be the most strong position you can have. So if you can be calm when things are difficult, that really makes you a leader.